Hey guys, Terry here with Joshua, and we're here to talk about last night's season premiere of Arrow. Full spoiler warning, so if you haven't seen it yet, get out of here. We don't want you until you have seen the episode, and then come back and talk to us. All right.
We don't want you.
until then. We want you at some point. So hopefully everyone who has not seen it yet, does not want to be spoiled, is out of here. Let's just talk about the overall episode. What did you think of the return of Arrow, Green Arrow now?
I thought it was really good. I was really impressed. You know, obviously it's no secret that season 3 was a little disappointing.
A little bit.
Disappointing. So they had a lot to prove coming into season 4, and I thought it started out with great like concept of, you know, he's got this happy life, but he's come back to the city. The threat seems really real. The team has a lot of interesting dynamics. You know, Speedy's kind of, you know, she's getting a little too intense.
Yeah, she maybe has some darkness in her that we're going to find out more about.
Diggle's not happy with him. You know, he's got a new thing going on with his Magneto helmet and everything. And there's new dynamics. It feels fresh. It's interesting. And I had a great time watching it. What about you?
I liked that the focus of the episode so much was on keeping it light, even within the team. The whole idea was that, you know, Oliver could leave the darkness behind and still be the hero that the city needs. And I felt like that maybe was meta commentary to the audience, saying we know we got super dark in season 3. People maybe weren't that crazy about it. It wasn't the most fun season. This already feels a lot more fun. And I love the dynamics of the characters, and simply the fact that beyond Damian Dark being this big threat that brings Oliver back in, the team did survive without the Arrow as the leader.
Yeah, what, 6 months?
Yeah. But let's talk about Damian Dark. This is a big change from the character in the comics.
Yes.
But I really, really like Neil McDonough in this role. It seems like he's having a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, he's owning that role. It's so good, and he's just like he just walks in. He's so confident, and he's got this like power to him, literally and, you know, figuratively. And yeah, those powers, they're crazy. Like, he's just like stopping his arrows, like no, no, no. And then in the end, we obviously saw that knife ceremony thing with that idol. And there's very clear, like, magic is coming to Star City, and, you know, that's something that Oliver is gonna have to fight, which is really interesting. And, you know, it's a very big jump from who Damian Dark is in the comic books.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that character.
In the comic books, you know, it's Hive, and, you know, there's like they're like more about like technology and stuff. So for him to come and be all about magic is like a little different, a little weird, but I really like it. So
it sort of feels to me, obviously this is DC, but thinking about what they're doing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the way that they're bringing in these various components of the larger comics world, and I like that they're doing that with Arrow. I like that we're seeing a different side. We've done metahumans, we've done the stuff on the island. Now we're getting into the mystical stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and any excuse to bring in John Constantine is a good excuse for me.
Yeah, and we know that that is coming this season, which is very exciting.
Eventually, I cannot
Matt
wait.
Ryan lives on. Now, in addition to flashbacks, we also got flash forwards in this episode, and we're going to deal with that sort of big twist a little bit later. But I do want to talk to you about the flashbacks, because we both sort of felt like, have we done the flashback thing enough? Is it okay for Arrow to just leave that in the past?
Yeah, it's not like Lost, where we kept, you know, meeting new characters and we're getting different points of view for different people, and that flashback thing really, really worked for that show. Whereas this, I feel like after the second season, I was done with them. You know what I mean?
Once Manu Bennett was sort of out of the flashbacks, I was like, well, the wigs aren't getting any better.
I feel like they feel tied to doing the flashbacks, because they've even become much more sparse. Like, they spend less time flashing back, and the content that we get seems to matter less. So it feels like, but I feel like they still feel they have to do it to make good on the promise of showing what happened on those 5 years before he came back and they found him on the island. Like, they still have to make it come all full circle to where he's like on the island with a beard and a bow and arrow and a green hood, you know?
Yeah, but hopefully this will be the last season of that, right? Like, it's been, we're getting close to the end, or one more,
4, 5. So we'd have one more.
Yeah, five
I
seasons.
Don't know. But, you know, I guess we just go ahead and talk about it. You know, that, you know, Damian Dark is of a mystical origin, and when Oliver, they ask him, Diggle asks him, and he goes, hey, do you know anything about this? And he's like, yeah, I do. And then he doesn't tell him.
And he's like, all right, so yet another thing that you aren't going to tell us, but that the audience can see in flashbacks.
So actually, the flashbacks might prove to be very integral to discovering, you know, the mystical world of the DCU. and to what Damian Dark is up to. And maybe he knew like John Constantine back in the day or something. Maybe that's how he'll
that
be
would be a great way to
that
fit
would
that
be
in.
cool. I don't know.
Yeah, Constantine did not die with cancellation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. And maybe, you know, this premiere's flashbacks didn't necessarily grab us enough, but some future ones could. But the big twist for me was the flash forward where we see Oliver and Barry Allen from the Flash.
Normally it's a good thing to see him, right? But now it's like,
Not
oh
in this
God, they're at a
situation.
graveyard.
Yeah, and they're standing in front of a grave, and it's
yeah.
6 months into the future, right after the audience has seen Felicity and Oliver having a conversation about how they can be happy and still save the city, and it's clear that is not the case.
Yeah. You know, I thought the camera was going to swing around, right?
Oh,
and,
of course
and show
it's
like
not.
Felicity's name on there. I think the implication is that it's her. And the people who make the show have gone on record saying that is not like a fake out or anything. Someone is dead. We just don't know who it is. Who do you think it is?
Okay, my gut, I feel like the show wants you to assume that it's Felicity, right? Because we just came off that really emotional, cute scene between her and Oliver. We see Oliver still has the ring he plans to propose, and then he's very upset. But I feel like it can't be that easy, right? Like, we can't guess now who it's going to be. Could it be Thea? Could it be Laura? Like, could it be one of the other main characters? Could it be someone who is important but maybe not in the core group? But I feel like because we are jumping to assume that it's Felicity, it can't be Felicity. That would be a game changer.
Yes, that would be awful though. No, I don't know. But he seemed really upset about it. It was obviously somebody that he knew, or you know, is either on Team Arrow or connected.
Both he and Barry knew. If you know, Barry felt it was important enough for him to come for the funeral.
Yeah. I love how he's sorry he couldn't make it to the funeral, and he's like, Zoom, yeah.
Zoom, yeah, but no more spoilers for the Flash on this show.
Although I do have to mention one thing at the very beginning of the episode, like near the beginning, there's a sort of a pan in a bar. And we get this leather flight jacket with the name Jordan, as in like Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern.
They keep dropping those hints.
I am so fed up with these hints. They do the whole, like since the show, both in Flash and Arrow, we get so many. And just the fact that they are not putting him in the show from what we know. And it's just like, if you're going to put that many obvious, blatant hints in the show, put the character in there.
Well, they want you to be there emotionally, so by the time they do introduce him, it's just a huge relief.
You know, I once asked Andrew Kreisberg if they would put Green Lantern in the show, and he said it was more the purview of the cinematic universe. So he said it's really only for the movies. And I don't know if he was like just kind of, you know, being coy, or if that's really how they feel. But I feel like they just want to just tease us, and it's hurting so bad. I'll tell you what, let's do this. Don't have him with the ring and everything, but just have Hal Jordan there as a character, as a person who helps out. And then, so that way you don't have to do all the crazy special effects.
I have no say in that happening, but I think that's a great idea, and I fully endorse it. Yeah, you know, I'll pull some.
Can you talk to some people?
I'll talk to some people.
I know you're connected.
So before we go, I think we do need to talk about the Captain Lance twist at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
What did you read into that?
I thought it was kind of weird, although I could see it happening from the way their conversation was that he did not sign up for everything he's getting, you know what I mean? Like it sounds like he made an agreement, but not to the point where they'd be like murdering all these people and going like too far and all that stuff. So I'm interested to see more of what the initial deal they made and how that, of course, strains his relationship with like Team Arrow.
Yeah, I'm glad that they found a new way to bring him into the mix to make him, you know, be on the villainous side. Is a little bit different than what we've seen before, and obviously the Hive mystery is really interesting. But I also feel like we've seen this conflict between him and Laurel a lot.
Yeah.
Him wanting to protect her, them keeping a secret from one another. I would honestly like this better if he did let Team Arrow in on it, and you know, he was sort of a secret agent within that team,
like
getting
a double
them.
agent.
Yeah. But I hope that they don't hit the same story beats we've seen before. That was my one, like, oh, okay, we're doing this, instead of, you know, as excited as the flash forward made me and some of the other elements of the episode.
Right. Yeah, there's a bit of a rehashing, I feel, in a couple things. Like Thea, she feels a lot like Roy, who was like out of control and went too far and got like too intense, and now she's kind of, you know, getting a little too intense with her fighting and stuff. So I thought that was a little weird, although I guess her the reason is a little different because she was tainted by the Lazarus pit, and I guess that she's now like it's changed her a bit, and she's a little more aggressive.
I have a feeling that there's going to be a bit more to that than meets the eye, and maybe that will tie back into the mysticism as well that we're seeing with Damian Dark. Twists,
yes.
And bringing it all together. So that's what we thought about the Arrow Season 4 premiere, but we want to know what you think about it. Make sure you comment in the comments below, and stay tuned to IGN.